Hello, welcome to McDonald's Sessions. Today I'm here with Scott Green, and we're going to talk about how he got into running, and then all his races. I mean, he's done a lot of races, and then everything that he's got going on now.
I'm looking forward to it. Always wanted to be here.
Okay, welcome to McDonald's Sessions. Today I'm here with Scott Green, and we are at this McDonald's where the table lights up. It's really fancy.
Yeah.
I don't know if it makes our faces look different, but when you touch it, it makes different colors, so it might make our faces look different colors. So.
And it sometimes goes white, so you might see my beard lit up a little bit more.
Oh yeah, he's also known as the Bearded Runner. I guess I should put that out there too. That's like your, I don't know, nickname, moniker.
Well, throughout all my volunteering with Body's Race Company and the Kansas City Running Company, they started knowing race directors and getting my own code to set out. And when they said, your code will be S Green 25, it's like, wait, can it be Bearded Runner?
That's a little bit better.
Yeah, so it didn't really want it to be about me, but I do have a beard and I was a runner. So at least they've been pretty darn good. Working with the race directors, Nathan and Dave Borchard, and all the Bodies Race Company, Kansas City Running Club. I just love them all. I love this Kansas City running community. Okay,
so let's start at your high school career. Were you an athlete at that time? Were you a track star? Did you do wrestling? Like, what did you do in high school?
Well, it's so long ago, but it's so vivid, and it actually helped form me today. Unfortunately, I didn't do any sports in high school. Throughout my kindergarten to 12th grade, I went to 16 different schools.
Okay.
So I didn't really make friends, and that's where I started learning to be an introvert.
Yeah.
I didn't have to go far because I was always just by myself, trying to make new friends, but always thinking just on the horizon, we're going to move again.
Yeah.
But in elementary school, I did set some school records for the short distances, so I was playing around. But it's like shuttlecock or whatever. You run and pick up the racer and you run it back.
Yeah.
So that one. But then after 7th grade, I was in a pretty good accident. I was in a wheelchair for a little bit. 3rd degree burns on 30% of my body, and so in high school I didn't go after any running or teams or anything. I was just, again, it reaffirmed my introvert because when you're in a wheelchair, people aren't nice to you. So I didn't really start running until 2016 when I got on a treadmill. And so high school and stuff, no.
So nothing after high school, or nothing like in between?
No. At the time I was living in Portland, Oregon, Beaverton, Oregon, which is just outside of Portland. And I was working 3 jobs and doing a full-time college. So I got an associate's degree in electronic engineering technology. And 2 weeks after I graduated, I got the job with the Associated Press. And I've been there 33 years.
Oh, nice.
So I didn't really get into sports or anything. It was all about my career, my job at the time. And then when in 1991, I moved to Salt Lake City, and within 3 months I met my wife.
Okay, cool. So how did you get to Kansas City then?
Well, there's a long story there too, but I'm just going to keep everything as brief as possible and let you answer the questions. But with AP, our heyday was satellite communications. That's what I got my degree in, and I was driving around the country setting up all the satellite dishes, and I was the on-site engineer installing computers and hardware and hand delivering the news on a silver platter.
Yeah.
But when the internet came around, they started going layoffs and cutting down the field. I mean, we had 550 technicians. I believe today we have 5.
Oh, wow. That's a big difference.
By moving around, I moved to Salt Lake City because that's where a permanent position was going to be for me. I don't know. I didn't really care for Salt Lake City, so I put in a request to get to Spokane, Washington.
Yeah.
So it just took 7 years to get out of Salt Lake City.
Right.
Glad I met my wife, but we escaped.
Yeah.
Just joking. I actually loved the city.
Yeah.
But so I went to Spokane, Washington, and a couple years later I went to Boise, Idaho for a position that was specifically made for me, and I covered all the areas, 5 surrounding states. Got to go to Jackson Hole, Wyoming a lot.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But once again, there was another round of layoffs. This time they closed that position in Boise, and they said, with your seniority, you can pick out of this list. Give us 10 places you want to go.
Yeah.
Kansas City was number 5. But at least I still had a job.
So you didn't really like come here on purpose. It was just kind of an accident.
Yeah, there's no way that I would have just talked with the wife and said, let's up and move to Kansas City.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. I love it here.
Yeah.
It's been great. We got the running community that I found.
Yeah.
So that was great. So that's the story of how I got to Kansas City.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting story for sure. Like, I mean, it's random. I mean, you almost couldn't throw like a dart and like.
Yeah, there's not a pinpoint time, but yeah. So when I got here in Kansas City, it was 2006.
Yeah.
I was put up in corporate housing for 5 weeks, and I literally drove thousands of miles when I wasn't on the clock, and found where I wanted to be.
Oh, nice.
I didn't want to live out east because the commutes.
Yeah.
I didn't want to live out west or way down south because it's bad now too.
Yeah.
So I found Liberty, and then I drove every single street in the city of Liberty looking for houses for sale.
Yeah.
I can't be sold a house, but if I find one, then I'll work with a realtor and help me buy it.
Yeah.
So, but it was fun, and I'm glad. Really got into the family. So when I got here, the kids were young, and we did what we could. We got into martial arts, and then when as Faye and I's job was virtually over, we were going to be empty nesters. So I got myself a dog and started running. So running families did not replace the actual family, but
the lights like built into the table?
Yeah, we just talked about that. It's kind of cool.
Just touch them?
Yeah.
But we're doing recordings here. So,
You touch them?
Oh my god.
right.
Nah, this is nice. I'm not gonna lie, it's nice.
Pardon me?
What do y'all do?
Yeah, we're just doing a podcast.
Oh, I was gonna say, I knew it was a podcast. I knew it was a podcast. My bad. Y'all can continue. My bad.
All right.
I didn't see about that.
All right. How do we recover from that?
I guess we're famous now.
Yeah, I like that. Or the table's famous. That's it.
Okay. So you said like one day you got on a treadmill. Like, what's the story there? Like, did you all of a sudden decide that you wanted to run? Did you like get lost? How did you get to a treadmill?
Well, the short story is I was just sedentary. My job turned into a position where I now was just overlooking a bunch of computers. I didn't do anything. I still didn't know anybody all the way into 2015, 2016. Didn't have any friends. Their kids were growing up, and I was putting on the weight.
Yeah.
It was fun for a couple of years between, I think, 2008 and 2012, where I got into martial arts.
Yeah.
I was like 8 days away from testing for a black belt. But things happened, and then we just left that career. But taking my kids to our 25th wedding anniversary in Hawaii, I was overweight, out of shape, and was swimming at the wrong time, and literally my daughter saved my life. She drugged me in from the ocean. It was not good. So when I came back from that, that's when I decided I have to do something.
Yeah.
And I was never overweight, but on a 5'7" frame, weighing 235 pounds is quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, so I just started the treadmill because I didn't know anything about run groups and stuff. And my first actual group run was in Hawaii in 2016. The year after I took the kids there, my father took me out there. So it was kind of nice. Wish it was somewhere else because I was just there. But I mean, it's Hawaii. How can you go wrong?
Yeah.
So that was my first group run, running with people.
Yeah.
So I just practiced up on the treadmill and was able to get like a mile without having to walk and stuff. So that was my first experience of a group run, and it was also my first experience, which still happens today. You go to a group run and you run by yourself.
Yeah, I definitely do that too.
It's definitely about the before and after still. And it's been nice.
Yeah. So when did you get from the treadmill to like, I'm going to do a race? Like how did you get from one to the other, or from the group run to doing a race?
When I got back from Hawaii that year in January, they had a sweetheart run, and it was so cold that year, like 18 degrees, and it was, I think, put on by the Running Well store up in the Zona Rosa parking lot. That was my first official 5K.
Yeah.
It's just, when I got back, I started looking into the running stores, and if you don't have the right shoes, then it hurts, so I didn't want to get hurt. So I saw a flyer at Running Well store, and I did that one, and I was hooked.
Yeah.
Literally.
Almost did the first one hook you then?
Yes and no. I was still the introvert from my previous life and not have any friends. Even when I lived here, I still didn't know anybody. So I was actually I did more virtual runs in 2016 than I did actual runs, races. But glad I did. I met Leigh Dawsonville through my virtual running.
Yeah. So how, so you're saying you were introverted. We're kind of not really, I mean, you were into it, but you were just kind of there.
Yeah.
So when did you actually kind of get connected, like where you're, I don't know, a part of the group now?
Yeah, well, I started by volunteering with the Bodies Race Company at their races. I would go out there and I'd work behind the desk and start seeing people and being friendly, and then that was first way I gave back to the running community. And then I started looking into group runs. Mm-hmm. So I called 2017 my year of the group runs. Okay. I tracked it.
Yeah.
I did 142 group runs that year.
Wow.
That's driving a lot. I mean, I'm from all the way out to Lawrence, up to St. Joe, all of them are in Kansas City, and I just, by doing that many group runs, at the time they were giving away raffles.
Oh, nice.
So I bought, I was able to win up like a pair of shoes and socks and race entries. I probably had 4 or 5 race entries I won that year.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is kind of cool. But still, all through it, I would show up for the group run, and just, you'd see me out there. I'd hold my phone and I'd selfie and no one's looking. So
I kind of do that with my GoPro. If you haven't ever noticed, I'm not like Jason is, where he films and talks to people. Yeah. Like if people talk to me, it's either someone I really know well or it's an accident. Like most of the time I kind of do it in secret. Like I had someone the other day at Garmin say, it's like, you're famous, because people kept saying hi to me. I was like, no, I just film a lot, and people kind of know who I am.
Yeah, well, I get that sometimes too. A lot more people know me as a bearded runner than as Scott, and with that coat and stuff. Yeah. But they see my face and, hey, he's bearded. That's the bearded runner.
See, that's what you need. You need a beard. You need to be tall. You need costumes like.
Oh yeah.
Like he has.
Andrew. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways you can be known. You can't just be some normal guy out there. You gotta have a thing.
Absolutely. Well, it was so far out of my comfort zone. But going to so many group runs and forcing myself to take that selfie, eventually people started seeing my camera, and you'd see them dart over it, get right behind, and it was so exciting. And going to all those group runs, I kind of was able to pick and choose and find the ones that are good. So I wasn't loyal to one specific one. I really enjoyed the variety of going to 4 or 5 different locations to do a group run.
Yeah.
And you just kind of find the best people.
Yeah.
And the Kansas City Running Company, that group, the Southern Running Family, as I call them, there's just so much fun. And I've been there, but also have the Kansas City running, the J&S runners. Yeah. And I like that one because obviously it's close to my house. Yeah. It's not a 40-minute drive each way to get to the race, but really good, super people there. That was my first running family. Yeah. And then, but if you branch out, then you kind of just be a recognizable face after a while. Yeah. Okay. So you got the group runs in, and we were looking at his phone earlier because he wanted to talk about how many races he's done. So you did get into racing eventually. Yes. I tried to keep it around 40 races maximum because that year that I did the virtuals, there was like over 60 races in one year.
Yeah.
And that was just too much.
Yeah.
So the next year when I did 40, at least they were like all live and I got the medals and yeah, so that 2019 and 2020, beginning of it at least, I was just again hooked on the races.
Yeah.
I did it for myself. I wasn't trying to go out and beat people. I would always start in the middle of the pack, and it was just a great way. Run therapy.
Yeah.
You get to talk to people, and I have met some very good friends through it. So.
Yeah, and you get to think, like, talk to yourself a lot too, which if you're running by yourself, so that's another good thing about that run therapy that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember your number. It was like 279 is your total races.
Yes.
And that broke down to, maybe you remember the actual.
It was like 133 5Ks and 60 10Ks and almost 70 half marathons.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that ballpark. But yeah, the 239 is where I'm at. I have to do at least one more somehow to get it to 240 because it's like that last 0.01 of a mile. You run around the parking lot till you get it. I'm about numbers and I want to get that 280 sometime soon.
It seems like, off the numbers that you have, that you really liked the half marathon distance.
Yes.
So how did you get into that? Like, what hooked you there? Was it the people, or do you just like that distance?
At the time, I didn't really know anything about running, but when I started doing the half marathons, like the Kansas City Half Marathon, I've done that every year. Worked with Dave Borchard. I'm an ambassador there, and just really helped him. But it's like the 5Ks are too hard. I like that they're short, but if you're going after time, it's a lot. 21 minutes is my 5K PR.
Yeah.
That's agony for 21 minutes.
So you, like, I think the half is good because it's long enough where it's a commitment, but it's not all day. It's not like some of the races that some of us are crazy enough to do.
Yeah.
So it's like you can really, what's your PR in about an hour 50? Was that what you got it to?
154 something. So I know it was less than 155.
I think I don't remember what race that was, but I'm pretty sure I was there, and I'm pretty sure it was an out and back, and you were going the other way. You were like way, way ahead of me.
Well, close, but I had a run coach, Nick Pig from Run 816.
Yeah.
He was my run coach, and he got me trained up to get that 154 PR, and I actually did that at a destination race.
Oh, really? I thought it was like at Rock Island or one of those Rails to Trails races, because I thought you were probably about, you weren't much off of it then.
No, I really was at a point where right at 2 hour halves was regular.
Yeah.
When you're training for a full, just half marathon is just a training run. So it was really good just being able to do a training run and get a shirt and a medal and know that I was able to do a half marathon in around 2 hours.
Yeah. So out of all those half marathons, do you have a favorite?
That's a good question. You mentioned the Rock Island. That was the first time I actually ran on a Rails to Trails one. Mm-hmm. And I really liked that one.
Yeah.
But I kind of like the huge crowds and staying on the street, so I would have to say Kansas City is my favorite.
Yeah, Kansas City definitely has its pluses because it is there's so much energy there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's different now because it has changed a little bit the route in the last few years. But it's still, you get to see, even in the half, you get to see the whole city.
Yeah.
So that's a really good one. And you said you did some destination races. Do you have a favorite one of those that you did?
During the pandemic changed everything. We'll come back to the pandemic if we can. But to answer that quickly is I really just fell in love with the driftless half. It's a half marathon in northeast Iowa, and it's a point-to-point. They drop you off at Harper's Ferry, and you run to Lansing, and it's right across the Missouri River, right next to the Missouri River, and you get some back roads. And the only problem is the elevation's like this, and then all of a sudden it's like this for a mile and a half. Then you peak it and go down the same thing. So it's at least a mile and a half long hill.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But it's pretty much the only hill.
Yeah.
So I've actually gone up there and ran that one 3 times now, and the second time I ran it, it wasn't necessarily a goal, but it's something I did that day. I ran the entire thing without walking.
Yeah.
And that was a huge achievement for me, going through the pandemic and just needing to get away.
Yeah.
It was interesting times, but yeah, so Driftless Half is my favorite destination race so far.
So I think we'll just talk about the pandemic a little bit. A lot of people have said that during the pandemic, they really, like, running was really the thing that was there for them. Like,
Yeah.
what was your experience during that? Was it the same or like?
Truly, group runs really didn't stop for a long time. They were just pretty cautious.
Yeah.
So you could go out and the rules were keep 6 foot distance or don't run next to someone, run behind them or drafting or something like that. But I was very fortunate enough that through the group runs put on by Kansas City Running Company, the Brew Crew,
Yeah.
I was able to meet Tom Johnson.
Yeah.
And we ran together the entire pandemic. We would just meet up and run by ourselves. So that was 2019 is when I started running with Tom. In mid-2020, Megan joined in too. So the 3 of us were inseparable. And,
Yeah.
we're called the Pea Pod. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So so the Pea Pod got together and was able to do all sorts of running in between. We trained for the Clinton Half Marathon, which that was the first one that opened up after the pandemic. So like even I think it's May 2020.
Yeah.
So it was nice having that as a destination, training for that, running 4 or 5 times a week with Tom and Megan, and we just did great. Except Tom took the wrong turn and did the 5K course. So if you look at his finish times, he beat me by a minute or 2.
Yeah.
But he only ran 12 point something miles. So we just give him a hard time about that.
So one of the things about running too is like the times where you like have a problem. It could be weather, getting lost, anything. Can really make it a memorable race. Like, do you have any good stories about things that went wrong that you really remember?
Hospital Hill. Love that one. I was ambassador for them early on, so I think 2019 I was ambassador for them. Went out to all their group runs, and it was so hot the night before. They used to do the 5K the night before and then the half marathon the next morning. So that was good. But the humidity on some of them, that was at that race, running downhill on the course towards the plaza, is when I experienced the first, I'm not feeling this.
Yeah.
I got into my head and it was just miserable. Finished, but it was bad. And then we had another one. It was, there was lightning that delayed at the start. And Hospital Hill's coming right up. And I still haven't signed up for it.
Yeah.
But I'm eyeballing that jacket.
Yeah.
So that's probably the most memorable other ones. But running in the heaviest rain, I was able to convince my son or daughter, so they run with me sometimes. Well, one of the races I did was dot to dot, and it was just coming down so hard.
If that was the race I think it is, I'm pretty sure I was there.
But yeah, it just looks like we're just fully clothed in the shower.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was bad. That was one of the hardest rains I've ever been in.
Yeah.
Out of all the times I've run.
Yep. I mean, the water was puddling on the roads, and you're splashing, and I don't know. Memorable.
Yeah.
I would actually probably do it again. That was the extreme weather. It's kind of fun.
As long as it's not, lightning's about the only bad thing. As long as it's not lightning, then everything's good.
Yeah. But, there's so many. I mean, with the 133 5Ks and going 279 races, I'll just remember that number. You got a lot of memories.
Yeah.
And I always just pushed myself and raced against myself if it was that. But most of them were just a group run that I paid for.
Yeah.
And
you got a medal and a shirt.
And you get a medal and a shirt. Yep. And I got 4 years of medals sitting in a box.
I got some hangers that I put mine on, but
Yeah.
I don't have the hanger for this year, so now I just have them all sitting at my desk. It's kind of boring.
Yeah. I mean, was very excited the first year I did the run, so I got a coat hanger and hooks and lined them up, and it's very pretty.
Yeah.
I like it. But then the second year I just threw over the balance on the blinds in a window.
Yeah.
And then every year after that, they're sorted and in order in a box. But I might do something with them someday.
It starts to become a lot of work.
It did.
Yeah. Okay, we moved a little bit. We had some teenagers that are still like kind of around to make it being pretty loud. So let's talk a little bit about your family. So you said that you started in Salt Lake City, moved around a few times, and then got here. And then you also said that they run with you some. So
yeah, none of them really like it. But my oldest Jack, he's works for Missouri State Patrol, and they have to do annual tests and stuff. So it was nice having him, running with him for a little bit. I think we ran the Kansas City half marathon 3 times together.
Yeah.
And then we've done other races. And then my daughter, she joins me for some of them.
yeah,
I think 3 or 4 times we went to like a Santa dash, and we both were dressed up as Santa.
put your drink over there.
There you go. But
Did you ever have them at the end of any of your races to like cheer you on, like at the end, or
Well-
were you like so old hat that you were just like, I don't need anyone there?
it was definitely old hat. The white Faye showed up to one of them down at the Plaza 10K and surprised me holding a sign. And
Yeah,
that was the first year I really truly did training. I worked out for 3 months, and I was trying to get the first half marathon under 2 hours. And I did the Plaza 10K that year, I think in like 51 minutes.
yeah,
And so it was a PR, but at the first water stop, about mile 2, it's like there she is holding a big giant sign, "Go Scott!" And so that was fun. But pretty much the saying around my house is they know what I look like running.
yeah,
They don't need to go see me at a race.
yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
I always thought it would be cool to have someone like I've done like the Garmin Marathon, and I was talking to all these people like. They're like, yeah, all these people are going to be waiting for us at the end. Like, who's waiting for you? It's like, my car.
Yeah, exactly. I generally, I think with all my work, I never reached the lead group of the pack, but I went from middle of the pack to close to front of the middle of the pack.
Yeah,
So, but still, even that, unless you plan something with your P-pod, specifically, you're going to run with someone. Even at races, you end up running by yourself, but that's okay.
yeah. It is interesting how you can you're in this race and it's really, really busy, like at the beginning.
Yeah.
And you still spread out. Even like the Garmin marathon or half marathon, when you're in that, it's like really busy.
Yeah.
And it's still, usually you're still by yourself. I mean, there's not like I've definitely talked to people that have done like Chicago, New York, where they are like packed the whole time. But most of the races that we do, unless you run with someone and you're trying to, you're usually by yourself.
Yeah, and I had one, let's see, that I mentioned earlier, the half marathon PR was a destination race. I went to the Monumental in, where is that? Indianapolis. And there was like 7 miles that it was so packed on the roads that you couldn't pass. So you definitely needed to be in the right pace group.
Yeah.
You can't make up time on that one.
Yeah.
So it was a great experience being that busy.
Yeah. So have you been in a race like that has like crowd the whole way?
Not the whole way, but I would say that Monumental one is the closest one that I've done. There was a lot of spectators, a lot of cheering. I mean, the stormtroopers were out there, and there was contests for the best water stop, and we do that here too. I mean, Hospital Hill and everything, but there just seemed like more people there. And then maybe the not Mother Road, but Route 66 out there in Tulsa. I did that one once, and I remember there was a lot of people on the course there too.
Yeah.
It helps because it's so different than running a half marathon on Rock Island Trail.
Yeah.
Where you don't see anybody unless it's the out and back, and then you get to wave.
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely done that before.
Yeah.
Okay, we keep moving around. Like we just got these little kids sat by us and had their little iPads and stuff. It was really loud, so we moved again, so hopefully it's quieter back here. I don't know that if the little teenage kids are kind of off to our left, so they're being pretty quiet right now. But they were interested if we were famous or not. We got to tell them we weren't.
Oh, if they only knew. Talk to any of the runners. We're known out there. The bearded runner, Clint is a tall runner. They wave and say hi. I doubt some of them even know my name. But
it depends on who you talk to.
That's true. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the running community. So there's a lot of people that are out there that run pretty much every weekend that you see all the time. Like, talk about some of the relationships you have with the people there.
The pandemic, I'll bring that up again. The pandemic really changed a lot of people. Before then, I would run with the Northern Running Group, Running family up there, and I've got such good relationships with so many of them. And we've done things outside of running and all this other stuff. But during the pandemic, I did continue to reach out, go to the other group runs, and I just love the Kansas City Running Company group.
Yeah.
That Southern Running family has just been so supportive of me and helped me get the word out about the bearded runner and the codes out there, and help everybody with the, hopefully being an inspiration.
Yeah.
Is why I do that. Is why I do my posts the way I do, and it's just, I really just can't stress how much I love the running community. If you needed something, I could ask.
Yeah. So is there anything like that has happened with the running community that you really remember? It could either happen to you or to other people. It doesn't really matter. Like, do you have any good stories about that?
I don't have. I'm sure I could find some, but what comes to mind is bad stories, and I don't want to talk bad stories too much. But things have changed a little bit through the years, and it makes it worth it to drive 40 minutes each way to go on a run sometimes. But still, just like at the beginning, now you go to group runs. I still run by myself.
Yeah.
You get caught up with some people, you get to talk, and maybe it's my warm-up, maybe I'm doing training. Just went through the whole training for Liberty Half and tried to go to group runs, but I was looking at here, and I have to run a certain pace and get it done. I've always tackled every training with every bit of energy that I can. I worked out. I had the personal trainer, the run coach for 18 years, physical therapist, you name it, I was doing it, all the way up to my birthday, which is just March 21st last month.
Yeah.
Well, 2 months ago now. We're in May.
That's crazy too.
Yeah, so everything was just going perfect. I was meeting all my times. I was able to get out there with the run groups and do my speed workouts. A lot of them were at Mackin Park. Some of them were on Cliff Drive and Berkeley Riverfront Park. I like the straightaways. I like the scenery.
Yeah.
And then, things just started.
So all the people, like, how many people do you think in the running community that you met that you wouldn't know if it wasn't for like group runs and races and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how many people that is? It seems like it's a huge number.
It's got to be. When I started getting out there and people recognizing my faces, I would friend request and I'd add stuff. So pretty much my Facebook profile is, my friends there are all runners.
Yeah.
So we're talking close to 500.
Oh, wow.
Running friends since I started running, and they're just wonderful. I like seeing all their updates. The last month or so, just watching them, I'm living vicariously through them running.
Yeah.
And it's just, I hope they keep it up, because I forced myself to do the selfies, and I had about a couple of years, 2016 and 17, where I was the only one looking at the camera.
Yeah.
And it got me out of my comfort zone in there, and I just love that there's a lot of people out there doing that.
There's something to say about running, even because it does get you out of your comfort zone. There's so many people that think, I can't run a 5K or I can't run a mile or whatever, and just putting yourself out there at the beginning of a race, or like think about a half marathon. Like, what gives people the thought that they can run 13 miles? It's just weird. Think about, like, if we ran for 13 miles from right here, we could get pretty far. And we go train, I guess, is part of the things that makes you think that.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is just, it takes courage just to get to the starting line. So
yeah, and courage to get to the starting line. You're right, but you got to have that motivation.
Yeah.
This is not to take it to where I took it. It was not just a fly by the seat of my pants, go out and run a race.
Yeah.
I took it way too serious, and actually asked the wife and got permission from Faith that I want to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
I want to do this. There was at one point in time during the training for Kansas City full last year, I was actually thinking I might try for a Boston qualifier.
That'd have been awesome.
Yeah, so it was definitely not too far fetched from the amount of training I was doing and the times I was seeing in the training.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you noticed, but I got pretty short legs. So running that far, that fast was pretty difficult on this body.
Yeah.
And the previously mentioned time I was in a wheelchair, my right leg is actually shorter than my left leg. My right foot is actually a size and a quarter smaller than my left foot.
Yeah.
And over the years, my body has compensated, so it's putting uneven pressure on the hip.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I blew the hip out. It was just overuse and physical issues.
Yeah.
So that's my story.
Is there anything else you'd like to say about the running community before we take a little break?
I love them all. I mean, you moved to Kansas City and like 16 years with 0 friends.
Yeah.
And it took me to get way out of the comfort zone to even just show up. So advice to new runners, just show up. It's worth it. Even if you run by yourself during, hopefully everyone can find their own pea pod.
Yeah. And it also helps if you have a beard or tall. If you have a thing. I mean, everyone can get something. If you could wear a certain, I don't know, you could be like, I don't know. There's like different people that do like their own little thing all the time.
I wore green for a while there.
I wear green a lot
was
too.
fun.
But.
Oh, speaking of green, this is the RMHC, and I'm going to be a sponsor again this year, and it is going to be this material. We're trying to debate if
nice.
it's
I like that kind
long
of shirt.
sleeve or not. But
I like short sleeves because the sleeves never fit me.
oh, that's true. But so that was many things that I got to do is learn how many people I just got introduced to, and when volunteering and out there taking pictures, it's just wonderful to have that support. Even though I'm not running, everybody says hi.
Yeah, I mean, it had to have been like overwhelming even at Rock the Parkway just to like see all the people that you, like you said, started from 0 and then knew like all these people that were running by. Like, I don't even know if I even hardly saw you like until it was too late. I mean, I think it kind of shows in the pictures of that day, but it's really, it had to have been cool to be like sitting up there and be like looking down and taking those pictures for everyone.
Yeah, I think I mentioned earlier, I might just make myself a sign that says, I like to watch. And then I'll have my either binoculars if I'm not taking pictures that day or with the camera. But
Yeah.
It actually sometimes is more fun for me, depending on the mental status that day, to volunteer. It's so rewarding.
Yeah.
And if you're able to research and be a course monitor at a specific spot, then you know the background's going to be good for pictures too.
Yeah.
So-
Well, that, I mean, looking down, I can't even think what the road is, Ward Parkway.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like pretty picture-esque anyway.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that was like where you were was like a really good spot. So I don't know how much you play in that, but it was
planned.
Yeah, it looked good. So that was good. And I think running it was like up a hill a little bit.
Yeah, you guys were running downhill towards me, so when I was standing on something and I zoom in and use the zoom, it shows the person that I'm focused on, but then everything's blurred out. But with it going uphill, it's just made a really nice background.
Yeah, I like that. That was cool.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that turned out good.
Yep.
Okay.
When we're back.
Okay, we're back. I had to change my battery. We talked so long. It was like, I mean, we literally almost missed the cutoff there, and I think all the kids left. So that's good. So we can talk. We were just looking at the TV. There was a thing about leg lengthening, and Scott is like, he really wants to do it. I mean, that looks like a good time.
Oh, that doesn't look fun at all.
Okay, so we talked about your past races. We talked about kind of how you got into running, how you were an ambassador, talked about the family, and let's talk about like your next project or run or
Next hurdle?
yes, your next
Hurdle to jump.
next thing. So, what do you have going on now?
Well, it's a hurdle for sure. I think I mentioned that I did pretty darn good at 11 weeks of the training for the half marathon. So we're
Right.
talking just in March 21st.
Yep.
I had a bad run on that day. It was only 8 miles, and I had a good run the day before, but I just couldn't catch my breath.
Yeah.
So I knew something was off, but you don't go for the doctor just because you can't catch your breath.
Yeah.
You know there's an issue there, and you just listen to your body and figure out what it's doing wrong. But things kind of progressed a little bit after that, to the point where I was getting like bloating in the belly and any sort of movement, whether it's working out or running or trying to run, or even walking around the block. It was just very, very uncomfortable in the abdominal area. I don't really like doctors, so I didn't intentionally put off going to the doctor. I knew I was going to because I self-diagnosed by going to YouTube University, and I just needed proof that that's what it was.
Yeah.
And I did. It is exactly what I thought I had, which was the SIBO, S-I-B-O, small intestine bacterial overgrowth. And that's just my small intestines weren't working. I couldn't absorb the food that I was eating, and every single bite of food you put in your belly, it just starts gurgling and grumbling and cramping and bloating, and it's been miserable.
Yeah.
I'm literally today on day number 25 of living with just, I can't really move. Sometimes I've got good days, but that's generally because of no food is in the belly.
Yeah.
So I wake up in the morning, the pain, the discomfort is at least tolerable. So that's why it's 12 o'clock now, but it's still early enough that I feel okay to move around. So I'm honored to be here today.
And of course, I brought you McDonald's to like
Yeah,
really. I don't know. I guess we could have done it somewhere else. I guess, but
Wouldn't have been a McDonald's session.
that's true.
So the fact that we're here and doing that, that's great. But when I did go to the doctor, his diagnosis was stress and gas. He put me on, he said, take some laxatives and come back on May 3rd.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is May 3rd.
Yeah.
So rather than do what the doctor said, I took my own health into my own hands and tried to be an advocate, and I started making phone calls. And number one, I was able to get in, and instead of May 10th for a certain test for SIBO, I got in the very next day, so like April 18th. And as I expected, that was tested positive for the SIBO. So now you got to get on antibiotics to take care of that. So hopefully the inners will be less painful, and I can eat, and I can start gaining weight. I'm down, I lost 5 pounds a week for 2 weeks there, and totally changed my diet, and I'm only losing about 1 pound a week right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose weight. This is unintentional weight
Yeah.
loss. So the blood work that was done with the doctor showed a couple things. So we got a CT scan of the abdomen and pelvic area, and yeah, it's not good news.
Yeah.
I was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer that has metastasized to the liver, and it's eating away my abdominal wall. Well, no wonder there's pain trying to walk.
Right.
I mean, there's stuff going on in there that is pretty severe. I'm honored to be able to be here and tell you guys through Clint's McDonald's session. But I hope to someday soon get out and get that number 280 race.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to like really broadcast when that is, because I mean, however slow you are, or whatever, I think you will have everyone there.
Yeah, I hope so. In fact, it may very well be this one.
Yeah.
Saved my last race for a while as the one I'm sponsoring. And
Yeah.
my shirt, my face, my logo will be on the back of the shirt.
Yeah.
and it's a green color. So
you might have to retire a little bit from running, but we talked about it a little bit. You're still planning on going to the races, like, and seeing people, and like, you know, as comfortable as it is. And then I also want to ask you, so like people are watching this, like, let's just say they're watching it tomorrow. Would you like them to just send you like a message through Facebook and just like give you a heart, or like what would you like people to do just to know that they're like thinking about you?
That's a good question, because hopefully this video will be seen by a lot of people. A lot of people know me. Just keep me in your thoughts and prayers, and hopefully we can get through this and have, let's see, how did I word it? It's a long road ahead of me for a short road after.
Right.
So it's a lot to think about. Working with Faye, she has just been a trooper at home. I was able to tell the kids this, and we're making plans, and my Peapod, Tom and Megan, are there for me 100%, and they're helping me through this. In the past, during the pandemic, they were lifesavers many times for keeping me mentally sane and not going stir crazy, and now they are truly helping be lifesavers.
Yeah. So I'll leave it up to you. Like, what else would you like to talk about? I mean, do you want to talk about like your treatment that you're going to go through, or medicine, or? I know you don't know all of it even yet.
Yesterday was truly my first doctor's visit since even the diagnosis of SIBO back on April 18th.
Yeah.
So I'm now she was a GI specialist, so I went to the GI specialist, and they ordered a couple more labs. The labs did prove that the cancer started in the colon and spread to the liver, but I guess they need more proof before they can start doing anything. So tomorrow I'm going to have a liver biopsy taken, and they'll do their sciencey stuff and see what type of cells they are, and that will definitively prove where it's at. I don't really know if I care where it started.
Yeah.
But I have to wait for the oncologist for next week sometime to actually know anything else.
Yeah.
Everything else that I've heard isn't through the grapevine, but it's not definitive yet. All I do know is the situation is pretty dire.
Yeah. So we also talked a little bit. Scott's going to start a GoFundMe. I don't think I'll have it on the screen because he might not have it ready for me, but if not, I'll have it in the link below. I think you already talked to another YouTuber that you're going to do a video with. They're going to probably watch this and then figure out what we missed, and maybe Scott can show him around a little bit of his haunts and places he'd like to run. So he's definitely going to do that. So,
I'm calling you out, Jason. Read my messages.
The biggest thing, he's slow sometimes with that. The biggest thing is make sure, like, you reach out to Scott. Make sure that, and you got to make sure that you keep coming, even though you're not. If you can't do a group run, we still want to see you there. I mean, I just think that would be important for you, and I think you don't understand like how much people like would, care about you, and just, and just to come there, and maybe even if you can't run, it could be normal for a while. You can just be like, take a couple selfies, and I still think you can do that, and it'll be.
Depending on the treatment, I may have to wear a hat.
Yeah.
And I want to maybe put the buff on, my bearded runner buff, so it looks like I still have a beard.
I would be the same. That would be one thing. If you don't have the beard, I don't know if I would recognize you.
Yeah.
Like, I saw some of the pictures that you sent, and you didn't have a beard, and I wasn't 100% sure. I was like, I don't know if that's even him. That could be anyone. That's his son.
Yeah, that is good. But yeah, it's I've got some good friends. They've reached out to me and said that they would hold my hair while it falls out in the shower. And it's like, okay, there goes another clump. I'm not really looking forward to what the treatments may do to me in the future.
Yeah.
But I need to stay positive, because a negative attitude is not good for any type of recovery. Even though what I have is non-curable, there's still ways to hopefully extend my life and
Yeah.
have some sense of normalcy.
Yeah.
So that's where just keep me in your thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason we're doing this too is because you didn't want to like individually tell people or make some post. I mean, I guess I'm probably going to make a post on Facebook about like the video, but even then I'm not really going to say, I'm going to say watch the video so you could tell everyone. So is there really anything else that you'd like to say directly to people or about your situation? I mean, this is your chance to be at McDonald's with the orange juice and tell whatever you'd like to say.
I thought I was invincible. I didn't think I would have something like this. Injuries are one thing, but when it comes down to this, be your own advocate for your health care. If you're feeling something wrong, go have it checked out as soon as possible. Double check what the doctors say. And even though we don't have any history of colon cancer in my family, and I had a colonoscopy just 2 years ago that the doctor went back and reviewed, there was nothing on it. Things happen.
Yeah.
And things happen for no reason. And I'm glad that I'm literally in the best shape of my life, because I feel that should help the oncologist.
Yeah.
So I may have been just preparing for the last year with all the workouts and the running and the training and the cardiovascular work. I may have been just preparing for this moment.
Yeah.
So just take care of yourself.
Well, take care of yourself too, man. So I think we covered everything. Want to get on with your day.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for watching. Keep Scott in your prayers or anything, whatever you do. If you do witchcraft or whatever, he appreciates it all. So thank you, and thank you for watching, and I will talk to you next time. And I will talk to you next time, buddy.
Thanks, dude. Just not looking forward to this, but thank you.
Okay.